The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. It fell against the diner windows like a steady whisper, cold and persistent, matching the weight inside Daniel's chest. He sat alone in a corner booth, his untouched plate of pancakes slowly cooling before him. He wasn't really hungry. He hadn't been for weeks, not since his wife passed away. The world felt quiet now, too quiet, as if even the rain knew it had taken something from him. The little silver spoon beside his coffee cup reflected the emptiness in his eyes that once held plans, laughter, and the warmth of family breakfasts on sunny mornings. If you believe that small acts of kindness can change a life, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because what happens next is proof that love can find us again when we least expect it. As Daniel stirred his coffee absent-mindedly, the bell over the diner door jingled. A gust of cold air slipped in, carrying the smell of rain and the soft, hesitant voice of a woman. "Excuse me. My son's hungry. Can we stay a while?" Daniel looked up. A young mother stood there, holding a little boy who couldn't have been older than 4. Her coat was soaked, her hair damp, her face pale but kind. The boy clung to her, his small fingers gripping the edge of her sleeve, eyes wide with both curiosity and hunger. The waitress behind the counter glanced at them briefly, then sighed. "We're closing early, ma'am. Storm's getting worse." But before the woman could turn away, Daniel found himself speaking. "They can sit here," he said quietly. "There's room." The words came out before he even thought about them. The woman hesitated, her eyes searching his face as if trying to make sure he meant it. Then she nodded softly and slid into the booth across from him, setting her son down beside her. For a moment, none of them spoke. The little boy's eyes darted toward the plate in front of Daniel, and Daniel noticed the way the child tried not to stare too long. He pushed the plate toward them. "It's still warm," he said. "Please, he can have it." The boy looked up at his mother for permission, and when she nodded, he reached for the fork with both hands. Daniel watched as the boy took his first bite, the relief on the mother's face more powerful than any words. She looked exhausted, the kind of tired that comes from more than sleepless nights. It came from worry, from struggle, from doing everything alone. Rain streaked down the glass beside them. The mother spoke softly, almost as if afraid to be heard. "I'm sorry to intrude. We've been on the road all morning. I lost my job last week and, well, I didn't want him to go hungry." Daniel listened, his heart tightening with each word. Once he had been in her place, not broke, but broken. After his wife's death, he'd lost his will to live, his purpose, his reason to care. He had everything but still felt like nothing. Yet this woman, tired, cold, uncertain, still had the courage to ask for help. That moved him. He waved to the waitress and asked for 2 more plates. When the food arrived, the aroma filled the booth like warmth returning to a cold heart. The boy giggled for the first time, his face lighting up when Daniel poured syrup over the pancakes. The mother smiled faintly, her first real smile since she'd walked in, and for a moment Daniel felt something shift inside him. The diner, once heavy with silence, now felt alive again. They talked quietly between bites. Her name was Laura, and her son was Ben. She'd been a nurse before her clinic closed. Her husband had left a year ago, and she'd been moving from town to town, trying to find stability. Daniel told her he used to come here every Sunday with his wife. She had loved rainy days, the way the world seemed to slow down. She said rain makes everything grow again, Daniel murmured, staring at the droplets on the window. Laura listened, her eyes soft and understanding. "Maybe," she said, "it's starting to grow again for you too." Hours passed like minutes. Ben drew little faces on napkins. Daniel laughed for the first time in months, and Laura's voice filled the space that once only echoed with grief. When it was time to leave, Laura reached into her worn purse and tried to hand him a crumpled $5 bill. "Please, let me pay you back," she said. But Daniel shook his head gently. "You already did," he replied. She looked confused. He smiled faintly. "You reminded me what it feels like to care again." The storm outside had softened to a drizzle when they stepped out. Daniel watched as Laura held her son close, walking toward an old car parked under the streetlight. Something tugged at him, an ache he hadn't felt in a long time. He hurried outside and called after her. "Wait!" She turned, rain glistening in her hair. He hesitated, then said, "If you need a place to stay, there's a spare room at my house. I don't mean any harm. I know what it's like to have nowhere to go." Laura looked down at Ben, then back at Daniel. The boy's small voice broke the silence. "Mummy, can we?" She nodded slowly. "Just for the night," she said. "Thank you." That night, Daniel set up the guest room and cooked a simple dinner. The sound of laughter, Ben's innocent laughter, echoed through the house. For the first time since his wife's passing, Daniel didn't feel alone. There was life again, warmth again, and in that warmth, healing began. Over the next few days, what started as a kind gesture became something deeper. Daniel helped Laura find work at a local health center. She helped him reopen his art gallery that had been shut since his wife's death. Ben followed Daniel everywhere, asking endless questions, filling the house with joy and noise. Slowly, the pain that once defined Daniel's days began to fade. He realized that sometimes the people who walk into our lives in the rain are the ones who bring the sun back. Months later, the same diner became their Sunday ritual again. Daniel, Laura, and Ben sitting by the window, sharing pancakes and stories. The waitress smiled as she refilled their cups, remembering that rainy night when everything had changed. Daniel looked at Laura, her eyes glowing with peace, and at Ben, who now called him Uncle Dan. And as the rain tapped gently against the window, Daniel whispered to himself, "Maybe she was right. Rain really does make everything grow again." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps us bring more real stories of kindness and hope to the world. Before you go, tell us in the comments below, do you believe that one small act of kindness can change a life forever? Sometimes the loneliest tables become the beginning of new families. Kindness doesn't just feed a hungry heart, it heals the ones we thought were broken beyond repair.